The Mount Laurel Championship was started in 1991 when the gathering became a public event on the Orthy farm. Like I said in the welcome session, the very first year they initiated the public gathering, they also wanted to start the contest. It was modeled after other prestigious contests like the Walnut Valley contest in Winfield, that's for a lot of instruments, and there was an Autoharp contest there too. But the Mountain Laurel contest quickly became the most sought after championship, I would say, in Autoharpdom. I think we can safely say that anybody who enters the contest thinks it's a big high point for them. And if you win it, it's a great achievement because of the overall caliber of the players usually in the contest. And in recent years, I've served as the MC of the contest, which is really fun because I get to watch everybody play from backstage, and I get to see now next is contestant number 9, which everybody likes to hear me say. Neil is going to talk more about how the mechanics of the contest work, but there's a first round and a final round where the contestants play 2 tunes. The top 5 people get into the final round. But what I'd like to say is that don't feel you have to be the best player in the world just to enter the contest. I'm always encouraging people to enter the contest for their own reasons. You've got a great friendly audience. They all want you to do well. You get experience playing on stage. You can just play 2 tunes that you really like and think you play well, or you can prepare for months. But either way, do it for yourself and for your own experience. I know that certainly the first contest, I don't believe anybody practiced for months on that one. I think guys and girls just stood around behind the stage and said, "Are you going to enter? Are you going to enter? Are you going to enter?" And they all did, and it was pretty spontaneous, and it was one of the greatest contests ever. There are a couple people here who were in that. So you can see the contest rules on the website, and Neil will go over it. But at our in-person MLAGs, we always have what we call a parade of champions. And they come across the stage, the ones who are there, and there are always a whole lot of people who come back every year, just like the Hall of Fame people do. And either they enter the contest or they're just there to have fun all week. So if you go to mlag.org and click on contest, there's all these rules. Neil will touch on some of those because he's sort of the chair of the mechanics of how it works. But I'm just going to quickly name them today, and I'm not going to go through all the years in order. I'm going to name them in categories. First, I want to name the previous winners who have passed away, who have left this world. Marty Schumann, the great player, won in 1993, and Jim Snow won in 1994. He was the son of the famous Autoharp player Kilby Snow from Virginia that some of you might have seen on YouTube. Now, this week, I know that there are several past winners that are present at the virtual MLAG. There's at least 10 of them here. So we're not going to spotlight each one, but I think some of you all have seen them either as a moderator or as one of the board members or as a helper or as an instructor. So right here with me, I will spotlight John Hollinsworth, who was the first winner in 1991. And Bob Lewis, who contributed a lot to the maintenance breakout room last night, I know. He was the second winner. I've seen and heard Lucille Riley this week. She's our only 3-time winner. She won in 95, 2010, and 2015. And Drew Smith, the inimitable Drew Smith, who's going to give a workshop Sunday, has won twice, in 1997 and 2007. And Ivan Stiles, who gave a workshop this afternoon, was the 2006 winner. Our moderator tonight, Rick Fitzgerald, was the 2009 winner before he came on the board. Heidi Saragoni, a wonderful player from Connecticut, was the winner in 2012. Tom Fladmark, a board member and has been a moderator, was the winner in 2014. Michael Poole, our registrar, who has worked so very hard these months, and who also has been one of the Cohen Grapple Recording Endowment winners, was our 2018 champion. And Cindy Harris was the 2019 champion, and she's one of our instructors. She did one last night, and she's going to do another one with her duet partner Tamara. So those are the, the ones that I've seen here and noticed. But there are a lot more that you might have seen or heard of or watched YouTubes of. And as some of these people have great YouTube channels. We've had as other winners, June Maugery from France. Mike Herr has won twice. Carrie Dubert in California. Carla Armstrong and Alan Major, two great chromatic players, one in the early 2000s. Carol Outwater, a very graceful diatonic player. And Joanne Smith, who has a lot of YouTubes out there, was our 2003 champion. George Haig from Scotland was a two-time winner in 05 and 16. Craig Harrell from Texas has won in 2008. I know a lot of you have seen Ray Choi's harps, and he was our 2011 winner. And Bonnie Phipps, who has been playing and making Autoharp music for a long time, was our 2013 Mountain Laurel Autoharp champion. So we have had a lot of illustrious winners, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't enter the contest too. And we will have an in-person Mountain Laurel contest next year. So Neil, how does that contest work?
Thank you, Kathy. I shared this a bit earlier, but I'll put it back up again. Some of it's already been said. We believe it's the most prestigious competition. And you can get to this page where it shows the rules by going to the MLAG.org and going to the contest. And then there's the rules, and the previous winners is a list that Kathy's been pointing out. And she said it was first done in 1991. And I also posted up here an article from Lucille. She's won it 3 times, and you think, well, maybe she's got some good advice. So if you're interested in the contest and you think you'd like to get some pointers, you could click on this one and go to some guidance that Lucille has gathered in terms of what she thinks is important, and it's paid off for her. I also want to point out that there's a description here, and these are really all the rules that there are. They haven't changed a great deal since we first started the contest, but one of the changes that we made is that now the only person that can't come back the next year and enter the contest is the previous year's winner. And before that, it had been a 5-year period, similar to what Winfield has. If you won the contest and you wanted to enter the next year, you couldn't do it for 5 years. But now you're out the next year, because actually we normally invite you to be a featured performer, and featured performers and board members are precluded from entering the contest, just to kind of a conflict of interest for the most part. It's open to any person holding a ticket, and except for, I said, those who are performing as billed performers or members of the board of directors. We do the registration on site, and that's a carefully protected document because everybody wants to get a peek at it and see what the competition's like. And you got this situation where people want to sign up at 1 minute before the deadline so that nobody can see that their name's on the contest list. So there's a lot of gamesmanship that goes into this as well. There are 3 judges, and I choose them. And I choose them, of course, from people that are available at Mountain Laurel, so I don't have them chosen before we go. But some of the criteria that I use, of course, I want them to be beyond any kind of dispute as people who have got the skills and the experience and the ability to so nobody would question their evaluation of the contest winners. But I will also say that we're not choosing these people simply because they're good Autoharp players, but also because they're good all-around musicians. And I think musicianship, in addition to the just playing of the instrument, is an important aspect of the contest. See, I had another thought there. Oh, and I try to make it so that if it's possible, I will choose judges who are really good at both diatonic and chromatic rather than being heavily specialized in one or the other. And even though there are a lot of people that are really known as diatonic players, they are very good chromatic players as well. So, I know who they are, and I think you all do too. Those are people I would choose as judges. But I would try to mix it up because I don't want it to be all slanted towards chromatic or towards diatonic. And we've generally been very successful there. So I choose the judges. We're sequestered backstage. Frank Baker builds us a little tarp covered place to put the table, and we have a headphone amp, and everybody's using headphones. I bring it up from our studio here. So they're sequestered so they can't see the performers, and they don't hear anything except what comes through the headphones, which are being piped from Bill Belsa's board. And I think one of the points I'd like to make about that is that the sound that comes through the headsets and Bill's board is really pristine. It's probably much better than you're hearing really out in the hall. It's also a little bit different because you can concentrate on the details. If you're listening to it in the hall, you're going to miss the occasional flub and so forth that comes across, but the judges will hear it loud and clear because they can hear every little tick and nick and pick noise and so forth. Then let's see what else I wanted to say. Once we set the sound system, we try to keep it set to the same level, and that way everybody has the same chance. And of course, it's not really probably well known, but working the microphone as a contestant is pretty important when you know that the volume isn't going to change or be adjusted necessarily if you're too soft or too loud. Now, we have relaxed that recently, and we don't want people to be penalized because they stand too far away from the mic and so forth. So we've sort of allowed that, but in the past, it's been more of a firm rule. We did recently change the contest to allow custom-made instruments. Thank you, Steve Brown. I know you're there. And he was one of the instruments that we would have precluded under the old rules, but we changed it a couple, 3 years ago. Contestants may be accompanied by another person playing an instrument. That hasn't happened very often, but it has happened in the past, usually a guitar player. But Bill's handling of the microphones is such that the focus is on the Autoharp. So the judges may or may not even really hear the accompaniment. If so, it's really muted in the background. They're listening to the harp. One of the rules is they can only take one instrument on stage. So if they wanted to play a tune in 2 different keys on 2 single key diatonic harps, they really can't do that. They have to choose one instrument and stick with it. No vocals, and they can't play medleys, and they're not allowed to speak on stage because we don't want the judges to know who's there. And you're saying to yourself, well, obviously they know who's there. They know the style. They can identify the players. But I'm telling you, it's not as easy as you think. You're looking at it from the audience, and you know who that person is, and you hear them and say, oh yeah. In the back room, I can tell you there's been experience. Is that Carla? Is that Alan Major? Is that, there are players that are very similar, and it's very difficult to determine. We were all surprised, I think, the first year that I was associated with, back in 1999, we thought certainly that it was Alan Major. I did. We don't talk about it, but everybody has keeping their own counsel. But when Carla came out, maybe it was 2001, I think it was. When Carla turned out to be the winner, we were just really surprised, gobsmacked, in fact, because we thought it was Alan. But anyway, that's an aside. So Cassie's already covered that. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then invite anybody that's interested in more detailed discussion or any more war stories that I might have to come to the breakout room, which we'll have just in a little short while. We'll cover it all. Thank you.